What should I do if my patient's PIP is exhausted after being treated due to a car accident? And this is really a great question because it's easy to assume that once the PIP is exhausted, that there's no other recourse, there's no other PIP that is out there. And unfortunately, probably 60% of the time that is true, but oftentimes there's what we call hidden PIP policies that can be tapped into. So the first thing you look at is, was your patient a passenger in someone else's car? Because if they were and that PIP is exhausted, then you can find out if your patient has their own automobile insurance. And if they do, you can then, or they can then tap into the secondary PIP. And let's say they had a secondary PIP, their own insurance that they were able to tap into, and that became exhausted. If they were living with a family member who had a separate auto insurance policy when the collision happened, believe it or not, that is a third policy they can actually tap into for one motor vehicle collision. Now, it is a little bit different if your patient was a pedestrian who was hit by a car. The first thing you'd look at is, does your patient have their own automobile insurance policy? If they don't, then you would look to see if they are living with a family member who does have a car policy. It's important to know that your patient doesn't have to be on that car policy. The statute simply says if they are living with a family member at the time that the collision happened, they are in fact able to make a claim, even though it had nothing to do with a mom or a dad or a brother or sisters or a cousin or an uncle's automobile insurance, right? And it sounds very strange to people, but that's the way the statute is written. And the one big difference, if you've been injured as a pedestrian versus in a car, only when injured as a pedestrian, after health insurance has been tapped into, can you then look to the defendant's automobile policy to tap into PIP. So you can always just simply ask a couple of questions once PIP is exhausted to find out, is there some other PIP out there that'll cover their treatment?